everybody, this is Jen from Bent LA. In today's tutorial, we're going to be playing with duct tape. I'm going to walk you through how to make this handbag out of duct tape. And once we're done with all of the skills that we've learned, you should be able to make any handbag you want. Let's get started.
For this activity, all we're going to need is some duct tape, scissors, and a ruler. The duct tape's really fun because you can get it in lots of different colors and patterns and stuff. I'm boring today and just have the basic silver duct tape, but anything will work. So if we look at this bag, you can see that it's made up of a couple different pieces. We have the front square, you can see, back square, the bottom rectangle, the side triangles, 2 of those, and then this flap that opens and closes the bag, and then just these straps. So what we're going to do first is just make all of those pieces, and then we'll put them all together. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start with this front square. So what's going to happen is you're going to take your duct tape. Duct tape's kind of cool because you don't really need any scissors. You can just kind of rip it. So I'm making mine, these pieces are about 8 inches, but we won't use the whole thing. But if you make them about 8 inches, it works pretty nicely. So you basically are going to put it flat on the table with the sticky side up. And then you're going to take another piece with the sticky side up and just kind of connect them. It's a little sticky, so it's kind of hard to get your fingers off it, but just be careful and it'll be fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 pieces by 4 pieces. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 in the opposite direction. So we're going to peel off a piece. And we're going to put it the opposite. We're going to put sticky side down. So the sticky sides of each of these are hitting each other, sticking to each other. So we're going to do 4 of those. Now that we're done, we have this 4 by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can flip it over. And in this middle here, we have this awesome little fabric that we just made that isn't sticky at all. Except it is sticky still on the edges. So we're going to have to clean up the edges. So we're just going to start cutting them off. Now we have this awesome piece of fabric, which is great because now we can make a bag out of it. So let's duplicate this like this. So it's very possible that these 2 pieces aren't exactly the same size since we didn't, measure totally and the cutting might have been off a little bit. So what you can do is just put one on top of the other and then just kind of trim them. And there you go, we have a front and a back. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do the bottom panel and the side panels. So for our purposes right now, they're going to be exactly the same. What we're going to do is we're going to do a 1, 2, 3, 4 by 2 piece 3 times. So we're going to do a bottom side and our bottom and the 2 sides with that piece. So we're doing 3 pieces that are 4 by 2. So now that we have these 3 pieces cut out, we should make sure they're about the same size. So we'll do the same thing that we did before, where we put them on top of each other and we just kind of trim them down where they're not. Let's say that this is the front and the back, the front and the back. So what's going to happen is there's going to be a piece like this that connects them on the bottom. And then there's going to be 2 pieces on the side that connect them, as you can see here. So for example, this is the front here, this one is the back here, this is the bottom, and these are the 2 sides. So the 2 sides are triangles. The reason that they're triangles is if they were squares, this opening would be a lot wider. So I wanted to make it a more narrow opening that just is covered by this flap here, this top flap. So I cut out the sides into triangles. I'm going to show you how to do that. If you want to just keep them squares and you want to have a big open thing, that's fine too. It is totally your decision. But in order to cut them into triangles, you'll need to find the middle point at the top and the 2 end points. So if you want, you can take your ruler and you can take a pen and you can measure it out and cut it. Or you can just kind of go from one point to the other. Try to make this line as straight as possible. So you see mine curves a little, not a big deal. And now we'll go the other way too. Cool. So now we have 2 triangles. All right, so there's one more major piece to make, and that is that top flap. So we just now have the top flap, this strap, and the strap that holds the top flap in. So let's start with this flap. So for here, you can see that it's kind of a triangle. It becomes a triangle and then it goes flat here so that it can connect. So what we can do is we can just make it a big triangle and then cut it down to fit. Again, you can personalize this as much as you want. This doesn't have to be a triangle. It could just be a square that then goes down into this little thing, this little loop. But I'm gonna walk you through how to make a triangle. So let's move all of these pieces over there. And what we're gonna do is the same thing that we did before, only it's gonna go diagonally like this. So let me make another piece, and let's just try to make it as even of an angle as possible. That looks pretty good. So we can make kind of a cool pattern if we keep going diagonally. So we can put this here. Here you can kind of see the pattern that I'm making at this point. Okay, and we're going to cover it the same way that we did before, because this is going to be the inside, so it doesn't matter if it has that pattern. So now that that's covered, we need to cut it out. So we're going to flip it over this way and follow this line from this side. So, you know, I think that pattern looks really cool. This pattern is cool too, it's just kind of flat. What I'm gonna do here is that there's a little bit showing, so I'm gonna just chop it off. And then the edge will be totally a triangle. If you wanted to just make it totally a triangle, you could put just another piece of duct tape on the other side, but I'm gonna go with a little bit something different. I just kind of try to follow the flow of what the material does. Okay, so we need to make sure it's the same size as this, because it's going to attach onto that. So what we can do, let's flip it this way, so we can see that we're staying even. So it goes to about there before it starts being the same size as this piece. So we're going to put this piece on so that it goes to the corners here. And then we're going to lift it and just cut that piece along that edge. So mine, you know, it's going to be a little bit different than the last one, but I like to just kind of go with the flow. So we could, you know, have it just go and be this short, or we can have it go up a little bit higher and flop over like that, which I kind of like. So I think I'm going to make it go like that. But that's not for right now. Right now, we now have all of the big pieces. All we need to do is make these other little straps. So this little strap, I'm going to wait till it's all together so we know the right size for it. But this strap, I can make right now. So we are going to, I'm going to take some more duct tape because I ran out of mine. And I'm going to make as big of a strap as I can on this table. It's a little tough to keep track of it all, so if you can't make it that long, that's fine. If it feels like it's kind of moving in on itself, that's fine. So we're gonna now just cover it with another piece. So this part's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to make it exactly even, but you just kind of set it down, and if it's not totally right, we can just cut it off. Great. So now we're gonna start putting it together. So what we're gonna do is we're going to take the two main sides and attach them to the bottom. Where's my tape? Okay, let's see. So this is the inside of the bag. If it goes a little over, we can cut it, but try to tape them as close to each other as possible. So you can see this doesn't line up perfectly, so I'm just gonna cut it down a little bit. And I'm gonna cut this over here. So now you can see when this folds, it has this really nice corner. So now we're going to attach it to the other side. So now we're going to do the same thing for these triangle sides. We're going to attach this piece to here, and it is going to become three-dimensional all of a sudden. And if little pieces stick out, just chop them off. Okay, so this one is a little more complicated because it's, you know, inside the bag. It's a little bit harder to maneuver the tape. Great, so I did it one side. So let's do that with the other side. Cool, so now we have the base of the bag. It has both of the triangles on the sides, the rectangle on the bottom, and the two squares on the side. And you can see it's become a bag. So now we just have to add little things to make it look a little nicer and make it easier to hold, all of that. So what we're gonna start with is adding the flap. So it's gonna go like this. We're gonna attach it to this side. Well, first you can kind of decide which side is the front and which side is the back. And whichever side is the back, we're gonna attach this piece to. So if we just taped it down there, then you can see it would kind of flop over in a really nice way. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take it and we're gonna add a nice long strip that we need to cut the ends this time because you're gonna be able to see them. So it's nicer if they're flat and clean. So I'm gonna attach to here, set this down, and tape it on. Now we have a little flap. That looks pretty good. So one thing that we're gonna need to do is put this strap in it, you know, so we can either just attach it to the side, which I might do this time because there's not that much space in here, or you can, you know, lift this up and attach this in here like this. But I'm just gonna do the easy way and just attach it to the side. So I've attached the strap on this side, and as you can see, it's a little messy, so we'll clean it up, but it sits nicely on there. So now what we're gonna do is put it on the other side, and I'll show you what I did. So make sure it's not like twisted or anything, because that is a bummer when that happens. So what we're gonna do is we are going to add a piece of tape on this end here. We're just gonna cut it so it doesn't matter about the edges. And then we're just gonna set it down on this edge here, on the side panel. And then I'm gonna cut on both sides and then cut it to make it so that it goes a little bit narrow at the bottom of the strap. So there is the bag. Now another thing we can do, the last thing we can do, is make this little strap here that holds this down. See, mine goes much further down towards the bottom than that one did, but I'll show you in case yours doesn't. So yeah, this could kind of hold its shape. So what we're going to do is similar to how we made the strap, which is to go about a little bit wider than the width of the bag. And then we're going to make one that's smaller, significantly smaller. Cut these edges off and set this down. So we're not going to cut this time. We're going to take it and we're going to stick it onto this bag. So what happens is this part you can get into because it's not sticky on either side, but then the sticky part attaches to the wall. So there we have it, a duct tape handbag. I hope you had fun. Send me your bags if you did end up making one. I'd love to see them. Fun thing about duct tape, and especially a duct tape bag once they're done, is you can kind of color all over it. So you could take your bag and make little designs all over it. You can make hearts all over it. You could write your name. You could color rainbows. You could color anything you want, and it would be a really fun bag. So now that you made this bag and you learned all of these tricks for working with duct tape, nothing can stop you. You can make anything you want. You can make wallets. You can make other bags. I, for example, made my cube bag out of duct tape. You need a zipper, but it's pretty fun. I love duct tape. I hope you had fun. Stay safe.